At Subway, start your day the flavorful way by adding new guacamole to your favorite breakfast sandwich. Perfectly made with a hint of jalapeno, our guacamole turns up the flavor to your breakfast. Try it today on a hot and toasty egg, white, and cheese. Subway, eat fresh.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The BS Report. The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report, special Monday World Cup edition. Chris Ryan from Grantland coming up in a little bit. Right now, my buddy Rob Stone from Fox Sports. Uh-oh. Was that one of your kids?
That is one of my 1,800 kids that is going to get strangled, Simbo.
Is there going to be a domestic violence incident on our podcast right now? This is exciting.
Where is he? I'm stalking him. I don't even know where phones are. I'm at my parents' house right now. I don't know where these deviants are running around.
All right, well, tell them to stay off the phone. This is really important.
I'm trying my best. I can't control these kids.
We're taping this Monday morning Pacific Coast time. The U.S. drew against Portugal 2-2. The first ever stomach punch draw of my entire life. I'm still upset. I'm still angry.
You were furious last night when you called me.
I was really mad. I really took that draw personally. I just thought it was such a collapse. And look, I'm not going to be one of those, hot sports takes trolling the internet people, but just as a fan, mm-hmm. I just thought it was just a devastating draw. That for that goal to happen the way it happened. Let's start there. First of all, Bradley, middle of the field, just screws up the play. Whatever. It's 100 degrees, 100% humidity, like he just had a bad moment. They take the ball. I don't understand for the life of me how somebody gets behind the defense. Explain that to me. You know soccer better than anybody I know.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of elements to that play, and it's hard to just pinpoint one moment. I think it's a collection of missteps that led to the goal, and also just a brilliant ball from Ronaldo and a superb finish as well. But you're grinding away in the jungle for 90 plus minutes. You're seconds away from the win, and you kind of cough it up in a non-dangerous place, but Portugal attacked down the right side. Ronaldo gets it. DeMarcus Beasley probably could have given a little more pressure on the service, but hey, it's the player of the year. It's the best player on the planet. You probably want to give him some form of a cushion when he's that far away because he's not going to totally kill you there. But his service was fantastic, and he dropped it in between two defenders, and there was clearly miscommunication. There's always this talk, Bill, about this zonal marking, if you will, where you see it mainly on corner kicks and things like that, where it's like, I got this area. This is my turf. Rather than getting a shoulder on a guy and having contact and making sure you can bump him off or you're going to make it as difficult as possible. And they dropped it in between two big defenders. One of those guys, it was Gonzalez, and I think it was either Beasler or Cameron at that moment, should have had the knowledge at that point that we got to at least have a body on this guy. And it was absolutely gut-wrenching. It was weird. When I watched it where I was, I couldn't hear it. And I didn't think it was a goal. I thought there was an offside or a handball or somebody had done something because there was no reaction from Portugal. I've never seen a team equalize in a World Cup, literally with the last kick, the last flick of a game, and they were just stoic. They were despondent, and obviously they needed a greater result than that. But just the whole way it ended was odd. And it really adds a lot of question marks and intrigue to what's going to happen Thursday with Germany.
You're a football fan and a football fan.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the equivalent, and I mean American football and then the world football, isn't the equivalent of letting that guy get behind you and heading it in? I mean, I know it was a great cross by Ronaldo.
You going like prevent D type thing?
Yeah, it was basically Raheem Moore against the Baltimore Ravens, right? Where Jacoby Jones gets behind him and he screws up. Like, the only chance they had was to complete the soccer version of a Hail Mary. And what you do is you don't let anybody get behind you under any circumstances. We have 11 guys in the field. I know they're tired. I know it's hot out. I don't understand how somebody can get behind us in that situation with 20 seconds left in the game.
It just happens. I mean, more heart, more drive, another extra little gear at that stage, and for the ball to be dropped in the way it did, it's painful. It hurts, but these things happen all the time. But it's magnified, at the World Cup level. It's magnified for the U.S. right now because that header, could end up nullifying what has been a wonderful World Cup for them. It could be the thing that prevents them from moving on to the round of 16. Not only that, I think the bigger conversation is this is a U.S. team that would have been in the absolute driver's seat to win the group. Yeah. Unheard of. If you talk to anybody in U.S. soccer circles coming into this World Cup, Bill, it was just live to play a fourth game. Just get out of the group, and that's the goal. And to be that close to it, that's what really stings. That's what really hurts for those players. But on the half full side, because I'm a half full guy, and I was half empty yesterday, but I'm turning face a little bit here. The U.S. still controls their own destiny, which is all you can really ask for, and it's really more than I think we could have asked for U.S. soccer. They beat Germany Thursday. Not only do they move on, they win the group. They win the group that included Portugal and Germany and Ghana. That's a wonderful testament, and I agree it's getting ahead of ourselves, but they have still put themselves in position with one game left to be a major factor going forward in this World Cup.
You're definitely a glass half full guy because you had 4 kids in like 3 years and you didn't climb in your car and just drive into the ocean.
My wife can't keep her hands off me, Bill. I don't do those push-ups and crunches for nothing, my man.
So let's talk about all the things, because I'm a glass half empty guy. Let's talk about all the things we lost yesterday.
Yeah.
So one of the 3 greatest American soccer wins ever. Is that fair to say?
It would
5?
be up there. It would. Yeah, I think 5 would be fair.
Top 5 greatest soccer win ever. So we lost.
Well, know what it kind of does is it nullifies that Jermaine Jones goal, which was just gorgeous. That's a shot that we saw from Messi on the other side of the field with his left leg rather than the right of Jones. That was an exquisite strike that just froze the keeper and just brought everybody to their feet. It takes away the conversation for the next couple of days of the progress that U.S. is making, and we already know that we have another game to play after Germany, and now instead the conversation is all about getting through Germany, surviving Germany. The obvious tie-ins with Jurgen Klinsmann and things of that nature, and all the German Americans playing for the U.S. At this edition of the World Cup. I don't think it's certainly far from a death blow by any stretch. I think it's more of a graze, but I think it's one that's very recoverable. But you're right. People had this ended up 2-1, people would be talking about this game and the positive energy of U.S. soccer going forward instead of finding some of the negatives attached to it.
We would have conversations about the Jones goal.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Tim
that
Howard save? We'd be talking about that Tim Howard save, the deflection, and falling back and just flipping a mitt over there to get over the crossbar. Those plays are still going to be played a lot, but they'd be on ad nauseum, and people would be discussing it and talking about the brilliance of this U.S. team and this keeper that is recognized internationally. And then you get a defensive midfielder bending in a ball like this. The heart of Clint Dempsey. It's not an American World Cup unless a guy in red, white, and blue is playing with a shiner and Clint Dempsey busting his tail into positions that's not his. It would be all positive conversations, and there's still a ton of really good talking points to take away. But you're right. In the end, and that's our society, is we're going to find some of those negatives to discuss at some point.
We'd be talking about Clint Dempsey, American hero.
Absolutely.
Is he the toughest man in America? Who would you take, him versus Liam Neeson? I think that was a real conversation at the 85-minute mark. Playing with a broken nose. Doesn't need a face mask.
No, he has a face mask.
We'd be talking, how many Ronaldo jokes would we be making? A ton of them, I say. A lot.
Yeah, and it's been an off tournament for Ronaldo. Really frustrating because I had said a while ago that this is kind of shaping up to be the year of Ronaldo. FIFA World Player of the Year. His club team wins the UEFA Champions League. He's at the top of his game, and I just thought he would be able to kind of carry Portugal further. And they really did themselves in game one with injuries and suspensions, and it's been they're still alive now. The group of death, everybody can still have some kind of impact here, but it's been a massive disappointment for Ronaldo. And
he's hurt though, right?
What's that?
He's hurt, right?
He is banged up. Say what you want. The players before the game were saying, "Oh, Ronaldo's 100%." I'm like, well, look, if you're walking around with a knee brace on, you're not 100%. I don't care if it's precautionary or what. He had that kind of that hard tape, almost a band right around his patella, just below his kneecap during warm-ups yesterday as well. There's no way he's at 100%. And this is one of the things that gets overlooked in the soccer circles. And I know you found your soccer love through the comparison to basketball. That's where the light hit for you. You're like, this is NBA, but just a few more guys and the skill level and the talent. But what people don't realize, though, is the NBA has got a long off season, right? It's a long season, long off season to recharge. There's not all of these international events for club and country that constantly are pounding on these guys to the equivalent of soccer. I mean, the amount of games and minutes Ronaldo has played or had the opportunity to play just in the last 12 months is surreal, and these guys are going to end the World Cup, the teams that go deep, they're only going to have a week and a half, 2 weeks to recharge, and guess what? It's preseason for their club teams, the teams that pay them all this money. It's just crazy, the grind that soccer puts these players through, and they really need to examine it and be careful because it's hurting their stars. It's hurting the Ronaldos. When they should be at their best, at their peak on this wonderful stage, we don't get to see them. Frank Ribéry from France, unavailable because of injury coming into this, one of the best players in Europe as well. So I think that's a concern going forward. But as you know, soccer has plenty of other concerns, be it racism, be it gambling issues and throwing games. I mean, this sport is just crazy. The things that go on behind the scenes, the corruption that is out there and hasn't been brought to light yet. Somebody's going to make a lot of money and bring down a lot of people when some facts come out about this sport that we all love. But there's an ugly, dark side to it.
I don't appreciate that you tried to make me feel bad for Ronaldo. I just don't. Because yesterday he looked like Dwayne Wade in the 2014 finals. And we were 1 minute away from a whole bunch of jokes about, Ronaldo, you're washed up. And I mean, none of it had to be true, but it's fun to make fun of the Portugal team because they're just this hair-gelled fighting army of people that feel like they would try to steal your girlfriend at any time.
And they would succeed at stealing our girlfriends as well.
Yeah, they would. My wife was in on about 7 of the Portuguese players. Or Portuguese? What is?
Yeah, all right, I'm with
Portuguese?
you.
What,
yeah, you know who she's calling? She's calling Lynn to be her wing woman, too.
My wife really liked some of the Russians to the point that I made her leave the room. They brought in a striker at the 71st minute mark in one of these games. She's like, "Oh, who's that?" I'm like, "Get out, go, leave. Please leave the room. You don't like soccer. I don't want you oohing and ahhing about the soccer players. Stop it."
I made a comment about the American Graham Zusi, who's got long hair, and he had it in a bun. And I said, "Man, Zusi's got a tight bun." And she goes, "Yeah, those buns are tight." And I'm like, "Whoa, we're having two different conversations here right now."
Yeah, you please stop talking. So another thing we missed with America not winning this, other than the great YouTube reactions and Dempsey's goal off the stomach.
And they have been fantastic, haven't they?
Yeah, all that stuff's great. But as you pointed out earlier, so we win the first 2 games, and we're in the driver's seat for that group. But then you go to the next round, the 1 seed from the group that comes out plays the 2 seed of another group. So competitively, it would have helped us to be the 1 seed. Not that still can't happen, but that was another thing that went out the window, which sucked.
Yeah, and that's almost the American soccer fan, and I'm including myself in that, being greedy, right? Because, just a few days ago, I would say, gosh, we're going to be crazy lucky just to get out of this group and play a bonus game. And now we're saying, oh, man, we had control of the top spot to win our group. And I like that. The expectations are being elevated for our country, and our players are stepping up and doing it. And what I like about this edition of the team, and I really haven't seen too much of it lately, is kind of that American grit, some of that blue collar, that hustle. Guys like Brian McBride just getting their face bashed in but refusing to leave the field. Guys slide tackling all over the place. Just this heart and grit. And, I think just the heat, the weather in Brazil is kind of bringing that out. The fact that Altidore goes down and Dempsey steps up in here. I mean, you can tell that these guys are just giving it everything that they have left in their body that has just been drained by the jungle heat from them. And they're fighting, they're scrapping, they're going toe-to-toe, they're not backing down. They are kind of epitomizing to me this American fighting spirit, and it's something that's been just slightly lacking from the U.S. national team the last couple of years.
Well, and also, they totally outplayed Portugal in that game. I thought they dominated big chunks of it. You could argue it should have been 3-1 with a minute left. Can we talk about Bradley?
Oh, you want to talk about the Bradley goal? You want to talk about Bradley or the Bradley shot off the knee?
Man, I don't want to pile on Bradley. I think the internet's being mean to him today, but
He's a wonderful player. He's the first or second best field player that we have. It's just been a down tournament for him, and I think some of that is because we have now placed some really heavy expectations on him, as has his manager, Jurgen Klinsmann. We expect him to never cough up the ball. We expect him to create scoring chances. Remember, 4 years ago at the World Cup, he was much more of a defensive-minded guy, and now he's being asked to pull the strings a little bit and be more offensive. He did play a major part in that second goal that Dempsey eventually kind of hip-checked in. But, I think those events, the giveaway are just amplified because we don't expect that from him. And when it happens, particularly in that moment, people are going to pounce. But it has not.
Well, wait a second, though. The giveaway at the 94-minute mark was he just screwed up. He was probably tired. The field was hot, whatever. I don't understand how he didn't score when the goalie was not in the net. Yeah. He had a wide-open net, and all that was in front of him was a guy on Portugal who wasn't the goalie.
Yeah, it was
and he kicked it right at the guy. And then I had to listen to the announcers, A, not kill him for missing the net, and then B, Taylor Twellman was like, it's actually a great shot by Bradley to get his foot on the ball. He didn't realize the guy was there. He didn't realize the guy was there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the guy's streaking in front of you, throwing his body at it.
My daughter would have said, I judge everything I'm watching in the World Cup by all the under 10 soccer games I watch from my daughter's club soccer team.
The World Cup, by the way.
Well, listen, that's how I do it. I think 75% of the kids on my daughter's soccer team could have scored that goal.
After having run 90 minutes versus Portugal in the heat?
I didn't factor in those. I'm just talking about the play itself. No, it was frustrating because.
Well, look, it was frustrating for Michael Bradley as well. I mean, he knows he should have put that one away. He knows he wants that one back. But the fact that Michael Bradley has had, in our eyes, an off tournament, yet we still have 4 points, yet we're still in control of our destiny, has me feeling good. Here I go. Here comes half full guy again. Has me feeling good that Bradley's going to say, you know what, this is it. This is our toughest opponent. This is my time to step up and shine and give you that moment to bring back that belief. And
well,
Germany
hold on though, but the Bradley thing, I like him too. He was bad yesterday, and if anything, I thought it was amazing that they thoroughly outplayed Portugal when you consider how many bad passes Bradley made, and not just that, but how many bad free kicks. Every corner kick was terrible except for the one that led to the second goal. I mean, I've never seen such. Those were the worst collection of corner kicks any team has done in the World Cup. We did yesterday.
Always got to get by that first man.
God, just kick it where all the dudes are.
Exactly.
It's not that hard. It's a corner kick. Kick it where the guys are.
Bradley's first game was even worse, to be honest with you. I thought he bounced back somewhat, and he's tired. Dempsey is tired. That's the one thing that has me concerned going into Germany.
Yeah,
the Germans are just so fit and so strong, and they're so unbelievably deep. I'm watching their game. I'm like, oh, here comes a German sub. I'm like, whoa, hey, there's Lucas Podolski. Hey, there's Miroslav Klose coming off the bench, now tied for the most goals in World Cup history. I mean, they're bringing thoroughbreds off the bench. We're bringing some guys who kind of snuck into the Pony Ranch, like Yedlin, and getting some minutes, and he ends up making a great play to set up a U.S. goal. So I think Clinton's done a pretty good job for the most part with his subs. He's gotten some payoff from some of these things. I think it'll be interesting. Will Josie Altidore be able to go? Do you want him to go versus Germany?
Klinsmann's been great, except for the part where he put the guy in with 4 minutes left who was single-handedly in the game just to prevent anybody from heading the ball in the last minute. And then
Omar Gonzalez.
Yeah, that one hurt.
That one hurt because you could make a case saying the time wasted putting him in that was then added by the official led to the opening of that.
You couldn't just make a case. That's what happened. It was an extra minute because of that sub.
Half full guy.
Yeah, no, I know. All right, so can we beat Germany?
Yes, absolutely. We play Germany tough. We like playing Germany. There's no fear in the American eyes of taking on Germany. Absolutely, we can beat them. I would have preferred playing them, having won already and have our passage secured, or I would have preferred having Germany won their first two games and knowing that they're through and they might be able to relax a little bit. But we can beat them, but let's make no mistake here. Germany is one of just a handful of real contenders to win this World Cup. Ghana's a pretty good team, and they showed it against Germany, and I think it adds to the U.S. respect level what they did to Ghana in game one. Can we beat them? Absolutely.
You're really making me feel better.
I'm thrilled if we beat them.
I'm glad we called glass half full guy. Here's my big takeaway from the World Cup, because I've watched an incredible amount of it, and I really enjoy it. It's been
arguably the best tournament that
awesome.
they've put on in decades.
The Germany-Ghana game, Germany-Ghana was the equivalent of like Oklahoma City versus Golden State in the NBA. It was just wide open and awesome. Yep. I just loved it. But this is the first World Cup where I feel like, look, America doesn't have the best team. There's no, nobody would say we did. Nobody would even say we'd have one of the best teams.
Even though people got angry when Jurgen Klinsmann admitted it.
Right. But this is the first time I feel like we can hang in any game against anybody. I've watched all these teams. There isn't a team out there that I feel like, wow, that team would kill us.
Right.
Oh, my God. We'd get annihilated by that team. Even in 2010, it was like, all right, at some point somebody's going to kill us. At
some point ugliness is going to rear its head.
This time around, it's like game by game, we're at least in the ballpark.
Absolutely.
Which I think is the greatest thing that's happened for this World Cup for American soccer fans. It's like we're probably not winning the World Cup. We almost definitely aren't. But it's fun to think like, all right, it's Germany. We could beat these guys.
Yeah.
Then you go the next thing, hey, it's Belgium. We could beat these guys.
Yeah, we got a chance. Another thing that I like about this tournament, and I'm big on perception, and we lose sight sometimes when the U.S. is playing a World Cup game because we are so involved, we are so invested for 90-plus minutes that we don't see the game clearly. And when I say that, I mean as an outsider. Like if somebody's in Belgium and they're like, oh, the only game on right now is Portugal-U.S. Are they bored? Are they excited watching the game at the bar? When Argentina or Brazil or the Netherlands are playing, I'm fired up. I can't wait, But does anybody get excited that, oh, the U.S. is on? And I think through two games, we've provided that outside, that foreign fan with some real entertainment and some great drama that has helped further our message in the international community that this is a team and this is a program and a country going in the right direction. How far away are we winning from a World Cup? It's a ways away, people, but stranger things have happened. Herb Brooks and company, they didn't say, well, let's not go to Lake Placid. Let's just hand it over to the Russians. They said, let's pack up our skates, let's bring our pads, and let's play some hockey, guys, and they ended up winning it. Things like that can happen in big tournaments. Things like that can happen to the U.S. because it's happened before.
Last question, 2 parts. First question is a yes or no answer. Is it fair to say we built our entire offense around Josie Altidore?
No.
Okay. Second question.
I disappointed you there, didn't I?
Well, no. It was a yes or no question.
Okay.
Second question. If Klinsmann's going into this cup and he's looking at all the alternatives for each guy, what if Josie Altidore gets hurt? Had to have been a question because he's,
Absolutely.
He's full of muscle. It's hot. He's going to get cramped up. Like there was a lot of different scenarios where that could go wrong. Was plan B always we'll put Clint Dempsey at striker, or was there a different plan B that they abandoned?
My take is plan B has always been Clint Dempsey.
Okay.
Clint Dempsey and Michael Bradley are the guys that can fill a lot of different roles. And I don't know. You know where I want to go here, but I'm
No, that was the third question. That was the third bonus question. So if plan B was Clint Dempsey if Josie goes down, shouldn't plan C have been, well, let's put Landon Donovan on the team in case this happens, or am I crazy?
You're not crazy. You're okay. Crazy that it was plan C because, frankly, it should have been plan A.5. There's still – and people yell at me and then people agree with me about this whole Landon Donovan thing. I just don't see where we're not a better team with him available. That's it. Plain and simple. And one forward goes down that can really throw things into shambles. And Clint Dempsey has been mammoth in playing a position that's not his natural position. He's not a back to the goal type guy. He's a creator. He likes to go after guys, and he's doing his best. I mean, this guy is fighting. But wouldn't you love to have number 10, Landon Donovan, over there to maybe play behind him and link up with him and do things? look, the U.S. hasn't been burned by it, and I hope they don't, but I know I would feel a lot better as an American fan, and I know I'm not alone on this, knowing that Landon Donovan is available not just to come off the bench, okay? I'm tired of this coming off the bench stuff. This guy can still play 90 minutes for you. He's the greatest American player we have ever had. He's still playing at an extremely high level. He's a good locker room guy. He does not bring in any negatives, in my eyes, to the U.S. team. That's why I was really surprised by it. I'm thrilled that our guys are moving on without him. I just think the conversation and the effort would have been a little bit easier had he been with the team and available.
My take on this is just cut and dry. It just seems like the coach wanted everybody to practice full speed all the time, and Donovan even admitted, I can't go all out every practice. I just physically, I can't anymore. I can do 7 out of 10. I can't do 10 out of 10. And the coach wants everybody on his team, especially the leader, as you said, the best American soccer player of all time, wasn't totally happy with the idea of him taking 30% of the practices kind of at half speed or 3/4 speed, whatever, and went another direction. And obviously they have a lot of personal stuff going on too. I don't know if the reasons were correct, but I do feel like it was Belichickian.
Very much so. Very much so. I agree. But, Bill, we've seen in every sport that not different storylines or different game plans for the star athletes, but as you get older and you can still play at a high level, you need to do things differently for your body. And you can still contribute to your team. I guarantee LeBron James does not practice as hard as he did 5-10 years ago, right? He pulls back. Michael Jordan playing late into his career, he had to throttle things back. You see that all the time in every sport. Now, if a guy's a bad apple, I see that as an excuse to say, look, he can't go 100% all the time. This is a convenient way for us to get out. But Landon's never been that guy.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I give Landon a lot of credit as well that he got over, just this crushing blow, but he's been able to respond. He's been able to kind of smile at it. He's still doing work for ESPN. There's a wonderful EA Sports commercial. I don't know if it's just online or on TV that just kind of pokes fun at the fact that he's not there. He's kind of come piece to piece with this. But I got to tell you, it would not surprise me in a couple of years if Landon Donovan's an outside fullback on a national team type level.
Wow. I like having him come on at halftime because it's like having Jennifer Aniston come in at halftime of a Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie movie and try to be diplomatic when he's like really mad inside. I enjoy every interview with him. We have to go. We have to go to Chris Ryan. Rob Stone, a pleasure as always.
Finally, the Stone was back on the Bill Simmons podcast. About time.
Yeah,
brother.
And you're coming back again if we keep winning. Enjoy your vacation.
See you, brother.
All right, as promised, Chris Ryan from Grantland. Let's talk winners and losers through 2 World Cup games.
Let's do it.
The United States of America. Clint Dempsey, biggest winner?
Yeah, probably. Kind of putting in the kind of performance you'd expect from somebody like Dempsey, it's really like the man meeting the legend there. Everything he does seems like, just carved out of Texas Hill Country, like, stepping off the set of a UGK video, whatever you want to say, but he's meeting up to expectations.
Could you see him going through Bulgaria searching for his daughter and taking 5 after Neeson just refuses to be in the franchise
Why
anymore?
not? I mean, he does have a set of skills.
Dempsey?
Yeah, he definitely has a skill set.
Yeah, just brooding, angry. Tim Howard, winner, loser, medium?
I was trying to think of a good analogy for Tim Howard yesterday. I was talking with Sean Fennessy about this, where it's like he will make a mistake that allows him to do something truly extraordinary. You know what I mean? Like he'll bat the pass away that he should have caught so that he has the like Matrix bullet time reaction to the second shot. And you're like, oh, that would be great, but why did we have to get into bullet time in the first place? Yeah. I also it doesn't really matter. I think he's still better than Brad Guzan, who's the number 2. And I also just love Tim Howard screaming profanity at his defenders more than anything in the world.
Do you think American goalies have to be wired a certain way, or Tim Howard and Hope Solo just anomalies? Because they seem very similar. If they'd gotten married, I feel like it would have been a volatile relationship.
It would have been a little bit of Sid and Nancy. I don't know. I think being a goalie takes a certain kind of temperament. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because People tell me sometimes that my daughter should move to goalie and just go for a Div 1 scholarship. I don't think she's nice. Like it seems like their goalies need to have some sort of edge that comes from a dark place.
Keepers do have long careers. Like Zoe could be, like, she could be like a 40-year-old, a 40-year-old professional.
Goalie?
Yeah, sure.
I worry about them they get kicked in the face, they take headers. It's my job to protect my daughter. I'm not making her a goalie. So Michael Bradley, loser. How big of a loser?
He's been put in a tough position. I think that I heard you and Rob talking a few minutes ago about whether or not the offense was built around Altidore. I don't think that it was necessarily built around Altidore as much as there was a certain balance. Like it was like an algebraic equation, and like Josie was Y to Clint's X. And so Bradley is suffering, I think, because of that balance being thrown off. He's being forced to do a lot in a not necessarily familiar part of the field. He used to partner deeper down with Jermaine, and now they've got him playing at the tip of a triangle with Jermaine and Kyle, or it's not even a triangle really, as much as Bradley's playing the role that Clint usually plays, which is off the striker. And that I think he's had 2 bad games in tough circumstances, and he made 2 big mistakes. If he doesn't make those 2 clearance mistakes in the successive games, we're probably not talking about him like this.
So in basketball, if Chris Paul sucked in 2 straight games, or Russell Westbrook, or Tony Parker, whoever,
we would be writing about, do the Thunder have a Russell Westbrook problem? Yes.
No, well, we'd do that, but we'd also be secretly preparing for the big comeback game.
Sure.
Where the guy took a lot of heat, then he comes back and shoves in everyone's
Bradley's
face.
Not going to have – there's no equivalent for Bradley to have a 35-12 game, though. Like, all he can do is do what he – is pull the strings like he does. But he's not going to go out there and create 6 chances and score a goal, or, be laying on, like, perfect Zidane corner kicks or anything like that. Like, he's going to just keep doing the invisible stuff. He's just playing in a much brighter spotlight right now because of how far up the field he's playing.
Jermaine Jones?
I mean, incredible. I mean, he's the best player probably on the team right now.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
I felt that way too, but I don't.
He was an absolute steamroller against Ghana, and obviously, like, he was a little quiet in the Portugal game, but that shot is a shot that we haven't really had in a while. I don't think the ability to make that outside the box. Literally outside of the penalty box, not outside the box thinking-wise, long distance shot.
Is it fair to say that him and Beasley have been the 2 most reliable players in these first 2 games?
I've been into Beasler too, the guy in the back. Beasley's fine. Yeah, I was watching that Ronaldo cross again and again.
Stoner mentioned that.
And he played off Ronaldo, I think, just to save himself from Ronaldo doing 6 step-overs and turning him into a bag of dust.
Yeah.
But, you maybe want to, like, be a little bit closer for that cross. I don't know. I mean, Beasley's fine. He's not a pure left back, and we've got him back there to do a job.
I like all the running that those guys have to do in the heat. I don't think people understand how crazy it is.
Yeah, and I heard that's the thing that we're seeing in some of these mistakes that are happening. It's happening to other teams too, especially the ones that have to play in Manaus, where they're just playing inside of saunas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you just see guys, like, their corner kicks aren't as crisp. The passing is not as well weighted as it usually is, and I don't know. It's really tough. You saw Jurgen. Did you guys talk about the mind games he was playing a little bit there at the end of the game?
Yeah,
I love that.
it.
Yeah, that's like a classic, like, Jose Mourinho, Alex Ferguson tactic to kind of all of a sudden, and that's actually really smart, right? So he comes out after the game. He knows that people are going to be asking questions about Jeff Cameron and Michael Bradley and his team's, like, mental stability or whatever. And what does he do? He immediately makes the storyline, or at least he tries to, Jurgen versus FIFA and Jurgen versus the big bad Germany.
Winner, Landon Donovan?
I don't know. I think that when Josie went down, you could say this is ridiculous that we have to bring Johansson on. Like, why don't you keep him in the deck? Obviously, there was some reason, whether it was Jurgen trying to put his stamp on this team and say that this is now no longer like this Dempsey, Donovan, Howard class. It's my guys, and that's why I'm bringing Yedlin. That's why I'm bringing Julian Green. That's why I'm bringing Johansson. it's kids. It's a lot of kids who have dual passports or, like parents who were, from Europe originally too. But I think, at the end of the day, to bring Landon on with 30 minutes left would have changed both of those games.
Yeah, it's too bad. I give him a lot of credit for being so diplomatic in the halftime interviews, because I would be able to barely contain myself.
Yeah, you'd be forgiven for just flipping double birds and cracking up.
The defense.
Yes.
Winner or loser?
I had liked what I saw from Jeff Cameron in the first game, and I liked the Cameron Beasler partnership. Again, I think it's heat. I think it's those mistakes, not clearing the ball. I just don't understand how Cameron's not just standing in front of the goal. That's what I keep not being able to understand, is why he had 3 center backs on, and those guys are all racing back to catch up with Varea at the end of that game.
Well, so the first goal was just a basic screw up.
Yeah, and that happens.
Seems like that happened in under 12 soccer.
Yeah.
The second goal I can't get over. And Stoner and I talked about it. It was the equivalent of the football Hail Mary where the safety doesn't go back far enough.
Yes.
There's no excuse for it. There's really no other way they're going to score in that situation other than the miracle cross. And the way it played out, it wasn't even that big of a miracle. We did a shoot around today on Grantland that a bunch of the Grantland guys weighed in and girls wrote about yesterday's game. And I was saying, in 2011, Rapinoe to Wambach, that was a miracle. That was like a 1 in 1,000 chance the 7 things that had to happen for that play to happen actually happened.
And I put a video up of, I think from 2008, of Beckham crossing from about 10 feet inside the halfway line to the Brazilian Ronaldo for Real Madrid, which is pretty much the best cross I've ever seen. But Ronaldo's only about, the Portuguese Ronaldo was only about 15, 20 feet farther up the field. I mean, that was still an incredible pass.
It was a great pass, but also that's the kind of pass that he makes. I'm not surprised he made the pass.
Yeah, it never should have been a situation where 3 guys were running back to catch up with the Portuguese forward.
We had the guys.
Yeah.
They were jogging. They for some reason, none of them saw the guy who was just about to start streaking, and it's I didn't think that goal was any more spectacular or less spectacular than 15 other goals I watched in the first 11 days.
Yeah.
It certainly was. It was a miraculous moment, but it wasn't a miraculous goal. We've seen goals like that for 2 weeks. Yeah. The question for me is how anybody gets bias. I can't get over that. And I really feel there's a scenario here where we lose to Germany. We don't get out of this group. And people belatedly realize, what a catastrophe that was.
I think that part of that, this goes back to Jurgen, is that he's put himself in a pretty decent position. Obviously, expectations have been raised by beating Ghana and being up on Portugal. But before this tournament, I think he was very frank about wanting this to be a learning experience for the young guys and get ready for 2018. And he's changed his tune a little bit and been a little bit more bullish about our chances. But, okay, so the thing is that if we're down 2-1, and we score, we get that Clint goal in the 94th minute and we draw, are you satisfied?
Yeah, I feel fantastic because I feel like we stole one.
Right.
I've thought they outplayed Portugal, and me, I'm the body language doctor. I thought Portugal quit at the 91-minute mark.
I think it was really weird too, because before the game, Ronaldo is smiling. He's joking around with Tim Howard. He looked so loose. I've seen Ronaldo before games before, and you can tell he's it's like that Ferris Bueller line where if you put a lump of coal up his butt, it would come out like a diamond. He was so tense. Right. And it's he looked really loose, and I was really worried. And I don't know whether he got clipped once or something, or maybe as soon as he got out there, it tightened up. But it was pretty obvious he was Dwayne Wading it out there. He was
he was
walking back. There was a couple of times he got called for offside simply because he just couldn't jog back to the defensive line that he needed to get past.
They were lazy. They looked totally out of it when we went into extra time.
They were also playing with a couple guys missing, so it was a pretty unfamiliar lineup for them. So give them
I just thought that was the all-time steal one. I mean, the basketball equivalent would have been just the Oklahoma City stealing that one Clipper playoff game.
Yeah.
And even in that, like Durant had to hit a great three and Westbrook got a great steal and like they did stuff to win the game. Portugal folded. They kind of gave up. Then they made one play at midfield on Bradley and all of a sudden they had a breakaway and a header and a goal. But I thought the game, I've learned watching soccer since I've gotten into it since 2008. I've learned to always watch until the last possible second because you just never know. And so you're always like one pass and one cross away from a goal in soccer. So I actually let my guard down.
Yeah, well,
which was rare.
One of the things that was strange is when I first got into soccer and like you'd watch these press conferences for the managers in the Premier League. Often what they would talk about after the game is whether or not they deserved something more from it. Like, oh, we deserved a point there. We deserved to win that game. We had the better chances. We were the better team. No matter whether they lost 3-1. I mean, I've seen guys who have lost like 5-1 say we deserved more from that game.
Yeah.
And this concept of deserving is very natural to soccer for some reason. You don't often hear Scott Brooks come out after losing by 15 and say we deserve to win that game. They're usually people are pretty reasonable about whatever the final score line is. I think it's because there's that idea of getting something from a game. You can get a point from a tie. That there's this idea, and I think people are starting to really come around to that. We deserved more from this Portugal game. We kept the ball, we moved it, we had chances. We just at the end of the day just did not have. The guys who were on the field weren't where they were supposed to be. It's just as simple as that.
So big winner is American soccer because this is the first World Cup we've ever watched where we feel like we can hang with any team in the tournament. I'm not saying we'd beat any team, but I feel like every team I've watched, we can hang. I
think also you could flip that and say the big winner is soccer in America because the other action has been so excellent that you're seeing people really – I mean, aside from like the huge amount of people in this country who already – are pretty familiar with global soccer, you're seeing people like stick it out. I mean, in our office alone, like you've got people sitting in that conference room all day watching Chile and watching Colombia and watching Ivory Coast and watching the Netherlands and all these teams. And they're, it's not just a whenever the U.S. is playing kind of event, which is like the Olympics can sometimes feel like that,
The knowing that it's 2 hours and that's it is pretty great.
Yeah. And it's been
really, as the years pass, it's better and better. Just like, all right, I know what I'm doing for these 2 hours and I'm out.
Yep.
And that's it.
Who's been your favorite team that you've watched, like aside from the U.S.?
Chile, I like the way they play the most.
Yep.
Ghana, I like just because they remind me of one of those NBA teams that isn't going to win the title, but they just do the run and gun up and down thing, and it's awesome.
Yeah, like Phoenix
anybody they play, it's going to be a great game unless it's Iran or Greece.
Yeah.
So those are probably my top two.
Chile and Ghana, I like that.
How about you?
I've been really impressed with just how swagged out Netherlands are. Like their goals just seem like dripping with gold. And then I really enjoyed Colombia, especially the goal celebrations.
Yeah, that's been great too. And Suarez is just super exciting every time he gets the ball. I think we went into this tournament knowing that it was Suarez, Messi, Ronaldo. Was there anybody else in there?
Van Persie.
Yeah, right. So
and Robin, yeah.
And Messi had a fantastic goal, so just reminded everyone that is Messi, but I think Suarez has a chance to really own this cup with a couple more things go their way.
Yeah, it'll be, and he has a tendency to do the unexpected sometimes when the eyes of the world are on him.
Right.
So it'll be kind of fascinating to watch him playing in the knockouts and see if anything goes upside down.
All right, read Chris on Grantland. We have an excellent World Cup coverage, and we're going to have even better NBA draft coverage. Actually, no, they'll be equally great. But this is your wheelhouse. This is your all-time wheelhouse week right now. NBA draft and World Cup.
I know, and Transformers too. I mean, come on.
Michael Bay. My God, you're going to explode.
I know. All right, man.
You should just reproduce right now. You'd have like triplets. Chris Ryan, thank you for coming on.
Take care.
Good luck. All right.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
Gotta say, Golick, great call on grabbing Subway for lunch and getting guacamole on our subs.
Told you this new guac really amps up the flavor.
Yep, something adding up things can be great. Guacamole on your sub, a new co-host to replace you.
What was that?
Oh, no, nothing.
Subway now has deliciously rich new guacamole made from ripe Hass avocados with just a hint of garlic, onion, and jalapeno. Discover how new guacamole turns up the flavor on any of your freshly made favorites. Subway, eat fresh.